أعوذ بالله من الشيطان اللعين الرجيم. بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم. Assalamu alaikum to you all, and welcome to our October Majlis, honoring our beloved Baba Gulam Sherali and all our Marhumin. This month, we will also be remembering Nishat Sherali, an absolutely wonderful woman who sadly passed away on the 20th of October 2014 at the age of only 37. Nishat was the wife of Munsif Sherali, Baba's first cousin. Munsif's dad, who's known as Nisar Sherali, but to us, he was Bapa Georgie, and Baba's dad were brothers. Inshallah, as the program progresses, we will have various members of her family reciting Quran and doing a tribute, including her two wonderful sons, Malik and Zain, who are only 10 and 7 when Nishat passed away. During today's Majlis, I will be focusing on the topic of losing a parent, something which we have all either experienced or one day will. This can be when we are adults, like in my case, or when you are still children, like in the case of Malik and Zain when they lost their mum. Whatever age you are, the pain and grief are still very raw, and inshallah, I hope I'm able to address certain issues which might help us get through these challenging times. Although I'll be focusing on losing a parent, the points I will be making can apply to most situations where you have lost a loved one. We will be starting with the recitation of the Holy Quran by our two junior reciters. Today, we have Nishat's niece and nephew honoring her. We will start with her niece, Iman Sherali, who is the daughter of Munsif's brother Ali and sister-in-law Farah. Iman is just 4 years old. After this, we will have Zaidan Daramshi, who is the son of Muhammad Ali and Alia, and also 4 years old. Alia was Nishat's only sibling, and although I have not met Alia, I always felt like I knew her. Firstly, Nish used to talk about her a lot, and it was so amazing to hear about the bond between them. Nishat also used to post a lot of photos of them together on Facebook, and just by the two sisters' big warm smiles, I feel that you could feel the love that they had for each other through the screen. I cannot imagine how hard it has been for Alia, and all I can say is I'm sure that Nishat is there with you, because a bond like that can never be broken, mashallah. Please can we start the program with the Holy Quran.
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim. Maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin. Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alamin. Ar-Rahmanir-Rahim. Maliki yawmiddin. Iyyaka na'budu wa iyyaka nasta'in. Ihdinas siratal mustaqim. Siratal ladzina an'amta 'alaihim ghayril maghdubi 'alaihim waladdallin.
Mashallah, thank you both so much for those beautiful recitations. Although most of us expect our parents to pass before us, many adults are surprised by the complexity and depth of our grief when our mother or father dies. For many of us, the death of a parent is a significant loss. It changes many aspects of our lives and will have an impact on the whole family. There is no right way to grieve, and everyone experiences bereavement differently. As well as shock, grief, or numbness, people often feel regret, guilt, or anger. We may feel very different from one moment to the next, and the feelings can often contradict each other. They may come upon us when we least expect it, which can be confusing and distressing. We can feel lost after the death of a mother or father. Suddenly, we may find ourselves feeling like a child again, even though we are adults with jobs, families, and lives of our own. The balance of generations changes when a parent dies. Before, we were still someone's child. Now we find ourselves being the older generation, and that can be a shock. Losing a parent or both parents means that we also lose a connection to our own childhood. We may have lost someone who can talk to us about our own early years and share memories in a way when no one else can. For our recitation of Surah Yasin, we will have Munsif Sherali, Nishat's husband. To lose your wife at such a young age is something which is so heartbreaking, and I cannot imagine how difficult it must have been for Munsif, and how much it probably still is, who would have been struggling with his own grief, but who had to ensure that his two young sons were looked after. I remember speaking to someone a few months ago who had also lost his wife at a young age, and he said to me, I don't think I ever really grieved for her because I had to be there for my children. And as a result, today, it's still very raw. MashaAllah, Munsif has done a phenomenal job in bringing up his wonderful boys. And I know that Nish would have been so proud of him. Munsif, please do us the honor of reciting Surah Yasin.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم ياسين والقرآن الحكيم إنك لمن المرسلين على صراط مستقيم تنزيل العزيز الرحيم لتنذر قوما ما أنذر آباؤهم فهم غافلون لقد حق القول على أكثرهم فهم لا يؤمنون إنا جعلنا في أعناقهم أغلالا فهي إلى الأذقان فهم مقمحون وجعلنا من بين أيديهم سدا ومن خلفهم سدا فأغشيناهم فهم لا يبصرون وسواء عليهم أنذرتهم أم لم تنذرهم لا يؤمنون إنما تنذر من اتبع الذكر وخشي الرحمن بالغيب فبشره بمغفرة وأجر كريم إنا نحن نحيي الموتى ونكتب ما قدموا وآثارهم وكل شيء أحصيناه في إمام مبين واضرب لهم مثلا أصحاب القرية إذ جاءها المرسلون إذ أرسلنا إليهم اثنين فكذبوهما فعززنا بثالث فقالوا إنا إليكم مرسلون قالوا ما أنتم إلا بشر مثلنا وما أنزل الرحمن من شيء إن أنتم إلا تكذبون قالوا ربنا يعلم إنا إليكم لمرسلون وما علينا إلا البلاغ المبين قالوا إنا تطيرنا بكم لئن لم تنتهوا لنرجمنكم وليمسنكم منا عذاب عليم قالوا طائركم معكم أن ذكرتم بل أنتم قوم مسرفون وجاء من أقصى المدينة رجل يسعى قال يا قوم اتبعوا المرسلين اتبعوا من لا يسألكم أجرا وهم مهتدون وما لي لا أعبد الذي فطرني وإليه ترجعون أتخذ من دونه آلية إن يردني الرحمن بضر لا تغني عني شفاعتهم شيئا ولا ينقذون إني إذا لا في ضلال مبين إني آمنت بربكم فاسمعون قيل ادخل الجنة قال يا ليت قومي يعلمون بما غفر لي ربي وجعلني من المكرمين وما أنزلنا على قومهم من بعدهم من جند من السماء وما كنا منزلين إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم خامدون يا حسرة على العباد ما يأتيهم من رسول إلا كانوا به يستهزئون ألم يروا كم أخلقنا قبلهم من القرون أنهم إليهم لا يرجعون وإن كل لمن جميع لدينا محضرون وآية لهم الأرض الميتة أحييناها وأخرجنا منها حبا فمنها يأكلون وجعلنا فيها جنات من نخيل وعناب وفجرنا فيها من العيون ليأكلوا من ثمره وما عملت أيديهم أفلا يشكرون سبحان الذي خلق الأزواج كلها مما تنبت الأرض ومن أنفسهم ومما لا يعلمون وآية لهم الليل نسلخ منه النهار فإذا هم مظلمون والشمس تجري لمستقر لها ذلك تقدير العزيز العليم والقمر قدرناه منازل حتى عاد كالأرجون القديم لا شمس ينبغي لها أن تدرك القمر والليل سابق النهار وكل في فلك يسبحون وآية لهم أن حملنا ذرية في الفلك المشحون وخلقنا لهم من مثله ما يركبون وإن نشاء نغرقهم فلا صريخ لهم ولا هم ينقذون إلا رحمة منا ومتاعا إلى حين وإذا قيل لهم اتقوا ما بين أيديكم وما خلفكم لعلكم ترحمون وما تأتيهم من آية من آيات ربهم إلا كانوا عنها معرضين وإذا قيل لهم أنفقوا مما رزقكم الله قال الذين كفروا للذين آمنوا أنتم من لو يشاء الله أطعمه إن أنتم إلا في ضلال مبين ويقولون متى هذا وعد إن كنتم صادقين ما ينظرون إلا صيحة واحدة تأخذهم وهم يخصمون فلا يستطيعون توصية ولا إلى أهلهم يرجعون ونفخ في الصور فإذا هم من الأجداث إلا ربهم ينسلون قالوا يا ويلنا من بعدنا من مركدنا هذا ما وعد الرحمن وصدق المرسلون إن كانت إلا صيحة واحدة فإذا هم جميع لدينا محضرون يوم لا تظلم نفس شيئا ولا تجزون إلا ما كنتم تعملون إن أصحاب الجنة اليوم في شغل فاكهون هم وأزواجهم في ظلال على الأرائك متكئون لهم فيها فاكهة ولهم ما يدعون سلام قولا من رب رحيم وامتازوا يوم أيها المجرمون ألم أحد إليكم يا بني آدم أن لا تعبدوا الشيطان إنه لكم عدو مبين وأن اعبدوني هذا صراط مستقيم ولقد أضل منكم جبلا كثيرا أفلم تكونوا تأكلون هذه جهنم التي كنتم توعدون اصلوها اليوم بما كنتم تكفرون اليوم نختم على أفواههم وتكلمنا أيديهم وتشهد أرجلهم بما كانوا يكسبون ولو نشاء لتمسنا على أعينهم فاستبقوا الصراط فأنى يبصرون ولو نشاء لمسخناهم على مكانتهم فما استطاعوا مضيا ولا يرجعون ومن نعمره ننقص في الخلق أفلا يعقلون وما علمناه الشعر وما ينبغي لها إن هو إلا ذكر وقرآن مبين لينذر من كان حيا ويحق القول على الكافرين أولم يروا أنا خلقنا لهم مما عملت أيدينا أنعاما فهم لها مالكون وذللنا لهم فمنها ركوبهم ومنها يأكلون ولهم فيها منافع ومشارب أفلا يشكرون واتخذوا من دون الله آلهة لعلهم ينصرون لا يستطيعون نصرهم وهم لهم جند محضرون فلا يحزنك قولهم إنا نعلم ما يسرون وما يعلنون يروا إنسان أنا خلقناهم من نطفة فإذا هم خصيم مبين وضرب لنا مثلا ونسي خلقه قال من يحيي العظام وهي رميم قل يحييها الذي أنشأها أول مرة وهو بكل خلق عليم الذي جعل لكم من الشجر الأخضر نارا فإذا أنتم منه توقدون أوليس الذي خلق السماوات والأرض بقادر على أن يخلق مثلهم بلى وهو الخلاق العليم إنما أمره إذا أراد شيئا أن يقول له كن فيكون فسبحان الذي بيده ملكوت كل شيء وإليه ترجعون صدق الله العلي العظيم سورة المباركة الفاتحة.
Asant, thank you very much, Munsif. After losing someone, there are two ways in which we can start to heal. Firstly, as difficult as it may be, we have to support ourselves. And the second way is how others can support you. So to begin with, how can you support yourself after the death of a parent? The first thing is talk to someone. Talking can be really helpful, even if it is over the phone, on the internet to someone, or on social media. It may sound easy, but talking about the passing, especially in the early days and weeks, will be the hardest challenge because the grief will feel so overwhelming. However, it is a necessary stage in the grieving process. The second thing is find ways to remember them. This might mean keeping a few special possessions or creating a memory box or special album of pictures, maybe even organizing a time for family and friends to come together and remember your loved one who has passed away. And the third thing is to plan ahead on anniversaries. Birthdays, anniversaries, and Mother's and Father's Day can be difficult after someone close to us dies. It can help to think in advance about how you're going to manage. However, a point to note about this, it doesn't matter how much you try and plan. On the day, more than likely, emotions may get the better of you, especially when it's the first birthday. Without them, the first Eid. Again, it's all part of grief and very normal. These are the few ways that you can support yourself. And in connection with this, how can you support someone after they have experienced the loss of a parent or a loved one? The first thing is stay in contact. Try to stay in contact with bereaved family and friends and let them know that you're thinking about them. When you are grieving, it can be hard to open up and call your family and friends. So if you know that someone is grieving, make the effort to call them. They might not always be very open at the beginning, but trust me, if you keep on trying, they will eventually open up. Let them discuss their feelings. Allow them to be open about their grief and their parent. Talking can be one of the most helpful things after someone dies. And lastly, be there for important dates. You might want to make a note of significant dates like birthdays, the anniversary of the death, and Mother's and Father's Day, and let them know that you are thinking about them. Sometimes just, supporting someone, even if you feel you're not doing anything big, but to them, it's huge. We will now have Surah Mulk, which will be recited by Majlis Sherali, the firstborn son of Nishat and Munsif. MashaAllah, he is now 17 years old, having only been 10 when his mum passed away. From what I know of him, he is such a kind and respectful teenager who is growing up with excellent manners, mashallah. Malik, please do us the honor of reciting Surah Mulk.
أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم تبارك الذي بيده الملك وهو على كل شيء قدير الذي خلق الموت والحياة ليبلوكم أيكم أحسن عملا وهو العزيز الغفور الذي خلق 7 سماوات طباقا ما ترى في خلق الرحمن من تفاوت فارجع البصر هل ترى من فتور ثم ارجع البصر كرتين ينقلب إليك البصر خاسئا وهو حسير ولقد زينا السماء الدنيا بمصابيها وجعلنا رجوما للشياطين فأعتدنا لهم عذاب السعير وللذين كفروا بربهم عذاب جهنم وبئس المصير إذا ألقوا فيها سمعوا لها شهيقا وهي تفور تكاد تميز من الغيظ كلما ألقي فيها فوج سألهم خزنتها ألم يأتكم نذير قالوا بلى قد جاءنا نذير فكذبنا وقلنا ما نزل الله من شيء إن أنتم إلا في ضلال كبير وقالوا لو كنا نسمع أو نعقل ما كنا في أصحاب السعير فاعترفوا بذنبهم فسحقا لأصحاب السعير إن الذين يخشون ربهم بالغيب لهم مغفرة وأجر كبير وأسروا قولكم أو اجهروا به إنه عليم بذات الصدور ألا يعلم من خلق وهو اللطيف الخبير هو الذي جعل لكم الأرض ذلولا فامشوا في مناكبها وكلوا من رزقه وإليه النشور أأمنتم من في السماء أن يخسف بكم الأرض فإذا هي تمور أم أمنتم من في السماء أن يرسل عليكم حاصبا فستعلمون كيف نظير ولقد كذب الذين من قبلهم فكيف كان نكير أولم يروا إلى الطير فوقهم صافات ويقبضن ما يمسكهن إلا الرحمن إنه بكل شيء بصير أمن هذا الذي هو جند لكم ينصركم من دون الرحمن إن الكافرون إلا في غرور أمن هذا الذي يرزقكم إن أمسك رزقه بل لجوا في عتو ونفور أفمن يمشي مكبا على وجهه أحدى أم من يمشي سويا على صراط مستقيم قل هو الذي أنشأكم وجعل لكم السمع والأبصار والأفئدة قليلا ما تشكرون قل هو الذي ذرأكم في الأرض وإليه تحشرون ويقولون متى هذا الوعد إن كنتم صادقين قل إنما العلم عند الله وإنما أنا نذير مبين فلما رأوه زلفة سيئت وجوه الذين كفروا وقيل هذا الذي كنتم به تدعون قل أرأيتم إن أهلكني الله ومن معي أو رحمنا فمن يجير الكافرين من عذاب عليم قل هو الرحمن آمنا به وعليه توكلنا فستعلمون من هو في ضلال مبين قل أرأيتم إن أصبح ماؤكم غورا فمن يأتيكم بماء معين صدق الله العلي العظيم.
Ahsan. Thank you very much for that beautiful recitation, Malik. Grief will vary from person to person, though there are certain emotions and circumstances that many of us will experience. It can often be a source of comfort to hear from someone who has experienced the emotional roller coaster of losing a loved one and has come out on the other side. With this in mind, I found an account online of someone who shared her experience of bereavement after losing a parent and some of the things that she learned along the way. This particular person goes through 10 things which she feels that nobody tells you about losing a parent. I wanted to share some of these with you. The first thing was, it doesn't sink in for a while. Initially, you might not feel anything. It may seem like you're stuck in a dream and everything that is going on isn't really happening. I know for many of us still, that's what it feels like with Baba. It feels like it's not real and that he'll just walk in through the door and say, you know, what's all the fuss about? It's particularly hard when you lose a parent because initially you just can't face the prospect of living without them. And the only way for some people to cope is to pretend like it's not really happening. The second thing is, you don't have to be strong all the time. This particular person said that when my father died, I tried so hard to be strong for my mom and my little sister and show everyone how resilient and tough I was. But just remember, you can only put on an act for so long. Pushing the pain below the surface so no one can see is exhausting. It's okay to lose your composure, to have an outburst of emotion in public or privately at home, or to even completely fall apart. We take a lot of strength from our parents, so when you lose one of them, it is crushing. We will now have Marcia, which will be recited by Zayed Pira. Zayed is the son of Uncle Diki and Auntie Leila. Uncle Diki was Baba's first cousin, but from speaking to Uncle Diki, I think Baba was more like an elder brother to him. Zayed, please do us the honor of reciting Marcia.
محمد وآل محمد صلوات. اللهم صل على محمد وآل محمد. या रब हक ज़हरा तौफीक ये अता हो, मरने से पहले या रब दीदारे करबला हो। या रब हक ज़हरा तौफीक ये अता हो, मरने से पहले या रब दीदारे करबला हो। जो अर्ज़ करबला है हर अर्ज़ से सिवा है, इस खाक करबला में शहकाल हो मिला है, शहकाल हो मिला है। हर ला दवा मर्ज की ये खाक ही दवा हो, मरने से पहले या रब दीदारे करबला हो। मैं भी तो मातमी हूँ, ज़ाकिर हूँ सैयदा का, नोहा परा है मैंने हम शक्ले मुस्तफा का, हम शक्ले मुस्तफा का। इस ज़ाकिरी का मेरी किस्मत से ये सिला हो, मरने से पहले या रब दीदारे करबला हो। मजलूमियत पे जिसकी रोता है ये जमाना, उस बेखता के दर पर एक बार तो है जाना, एक बार तो है जाना। जो कर्ज है लबों पर वो इस तरह आता हो, मरने से पहले या रब दीदारे करबला हो। जिस खाक की फजीलत काबे से भी सिवा है, सजदा हर एक नबी ने जिस खाक पर किया है, जिस खाक पर किया है। सद सजदा वहाँ करूँ मैं जहरा की घर अता हो, मरने से पहले या रब दीदारे करबला हो। या रब हक ज़हरा तौफीक ये अता हो, मरने से पहले या रब दीदारे करबला हो। मोहम्मद व आल मोहम्मद सलवात। अल्लाहुम्मा सल्लि अला मोहम्मद व आल मोहम्मद।
Asant, thank you so much, Syed, mashallah, for that beautiful marshia, mashallah. So continuing with this lady's account of how she felt, one of the points that she makes is how lost that you will feel when you lose your parents. You know, your parents cared for you from the moment that you entered this world. They nurtured you and showed you the way. So when you find yourself without one of them, you feel immediately lost. She says, when life has been tough and I've needed my dad's strength and his guidance, I've just felt so alone. But slowly, I've learned to live with my father's spirit inside me. And if I'm completely honest, I usually know what he would say or want me to do, even though he's not here to say it. How true does that sound to us? That sometimes that we can hear our loved ones guiding us even after they have gone. So continuing with this blog of this woman, she talks about how painful important milestones are. When you lose a parent or a loved one, it's a big milestone that really does test you. The big birthdays, the achievements, the weddings, and the thought of potentially having your own kids never know their grandparents is something that is very painful to think about. However, there are ways to include your late parent or loved one in these milestones. And as time goes on, you see them as a chance to remember and celebrate their part in your life rather than simply suffering through all these events all the time. And I'll give you an example. When we have certain events in our house, For instance, like the kids' first day back at school. And, as parents, we take the customary first day back to school picture with them looking all very neat and tidy. We usually do this in front of a picture that we have of Baba in the living room. So we do this for birthdays, for all events. We ensure that we take these pictures in front of this picture. And it feels for us like he is part of the day. And as a result, he's part of the memories. Some of you might have seen whenever I've sent out pictures that it's in the same place with Baba's picture behind. And for me and for the children, it's lovely to include him. And that's how we ensure that he's part of our events in our lives. And I'm sure you do, things in your own lives to remember your marhum. So speaking of milestones, our tribute today is dedicated to Nishat Sherali, who, as I mentioned, returned to her Lord on the 20th of October, 2014. Nishat was one of the few people I knew who had beauty from within, which shone through every single part of her. She was kind, she was patient, and she had a way of making you feel so at ease that you could just open up to her in an instant. She was an exceptional mom, and her sons are proof of this. They have the utmost respect for people and are extremely, extremely polite. Nish was a genuinely warm person who had the ability to connect with people of all ages. With the older generation, she was respectful. With the younger generation, she was cool, funny, and very cheeky. She could adapt to any situation thrown at her and still look calm and confident. She came into the Sherali family and embedded herself deep into our hearts in her own unique way. She was one of the strongest women that I knew, but at the same time, she had the softest heart, which made her all the more unique. Just before she passed away, we were talking about how after 15 years of marriage, her and Munsif were still the same lovebirds as the day that they got married. They were an extraordinary couple who complemented each other perfectly. He was her one true rock through everything and a true match made in heaven, mashallah. Today, Munsif, Malik, and Zain will pay tribute to this remarkable soul. Please can we play the tribute?
Bismillahirrahmanirrahim. Dear family and friends, Assalamu alaikum. My name is Zain.
And I'm Malik.
We are the two sons of Marhuma Nishat Sherali.
This month of October marks the 7-year death commemoration of our mom. It is also the same month that our great-grandmothers, Hayrun Fazl and Layla Darcy, also passed. We dedicate this time together in remembrance to these three exceptional mothers, and with your du'as, we thank the Almighty and honor these remarkable women. This tribute will focus on our mom, and we would like to begin by thanking Rowena and Hamid for upkeeping this tradition and giving us the opportunity to share our mom with you. May Allah bless you all.
There are so many things we could share with you, but we decided to talk to you about the role she played in each of our lives. To us, she was a daughter, a sister, a friend, a teacher, a wife, and of course, a mother. Although a short-lived life, she lived life fully, and these roles encompass a lifetime of memories, lessons, and love that only our mom could leave with us. We hope you enjoy the journey down memory lane.
Mama was born on September 6, 1977 to Mohsin and Ruxana Virji, or to us Nana and Nani, in Dar es Salaam as their first child. They moved to Toronto for Mama's early years of life and later decided that it was best to move to London, Ontario, in order to provide a better and more quiet environment for Mama's growing up years. This is where the bulk of her childhood and teenage years took place. As their daughter, they describe her as someone who is honest, sincere, down-to-earth, responsible, and always there for her friends. She was also very academically oriented and actually skipped a grade. Mama's teachers would go out of their way to tell our grandparents how great of a student, but more importantly, how great of a person she was. Nana Nani also mentioned how mature she was and how she was able to advocate for herself to further pursue her goals in life. A great example of this would be how she achieved her Bachelor of Arts degree in only 3 years and moved on to the Teachers College before becoming an English and history teacher. However, on a more personal note, Nana Nani described her simply as the best. There's nothing more you could ask of such a great daughter.
When Mama entered the Sherali family, she brought a different tone that Ma and Papa noticed right away. She was light, joyful, and bubbly, a stark contrast with their 3 sons. Naturally, they were both excited to welcome a daughter into the family, and she truly fitted in seamlessly. Every Sunday afternoon, Mama and Daddy would visit Samantha's circle for chai and petus, and they would just talk and have a good time. It would end up being a family gathering, with Uncle Shabir and Baba Mehdi and families joining too. It was always a happy occasion, with Mama usually in the middle of the conversation. Mama had a unique connection with Baba. They both had similar personalities, happy, loud, funny, and as teachers. They sought advice from each other. Unfortunately, Baba passed away, and it was a very tough time for the family, especially for Ma. Mama was a great supporter to her and the family in this unforeseen chapter in life. Nine and a half years after Mama's birth, she became an older sister to Alia Virji, our Masi. Mama played many roles as a sister and a second mom due to the large age gap between them. She would brush her hair, tell her stories, and sing songs on the long cars to Toronto, and would also trick her into pouring mustard in her mouth as a dare. As they grew, their relationship turned into one where they became best friends. They would constantly be in touch, daily calls, texts all day, trading secrets, and making each other laugh hysterically. Masi describes Mama as a very bright light. She was vivacious and loud in a way that people loved. Every time she entered a room, everyone felt her presence and wanted to be around her because they knew they could count on her to be a positive and reliable friend. Soon after Mama's passing, whenever Masi would deal with something hard in her life, she would ask herself, what would Bai do? She tries to emulate Mama as a role model for the type of person she wants to be and the values she wants to pass on to her own children, especially being kind, loyal, supportive, caring, and helping to lift up the people in the world around her.
Mehmet mentioned how growing up with 2 older brothers, Mama became the big sister he never had. He mentioned she was outgoing and loved listening to her stories, which always led to a greater punchline. Checha remembers the time when he and Mehmet would commandeer the TV for hockey night in Canada. Mama didn't really care for hockey, and between my uncles and dad, they coerced her to at least watch it on the TV. But when we came around and started playing hockey, she was outnumbered and finally succumbed to the Sherali tradition. Little did we know that she would become the force behind it all, our number one fan and the best hockey mom ever.
Nishat was a high school teacher who was adored by her students and co-workers. At her Celebration of Life tribute, we received endless thank yous for the difference she made in the lives of those she touched. Some of those students were so inspired that they went on to become teachers themselves. She was seen as a teacher who always brought energy and passion to her work, and one who could connect with the younger generation. A good period of her career, she spent time teaching special education students. It's not something she trained for, but found opportunity to bring even more meaning as a teacher. As their teacher, she saw the unique role she could play in their lives. It was her most challenging professional role, and most likely her most rewarding one. We can take decades to figure out what our meaning in life is. Nish found hers in a short time, helping others and helping herself in this life and the hereafter.
Mama had many dear friends, and those closest to her were like sisters. One such sister friend was her second cousin, Shagufta Megji. We spoke with Auntie Shagufta to hear more about her relationship with Mama. Although they never grew up together, when they met as a result of their husbands being best friends, there was an instant connection. Auntie Shagufta remembers Mama's bubbly personality and that they could talk endlessly. Mama would always have time for her friends, and as Auntie Shagufta would tell you, whenever they spent time together, it was never enough. Their friendship grew, and when they went to Hajj together in 2003, and shortly thereafter had 2 sons each, a lifetime relationship was cemented. As a best friend, Auntie Shagufta turned to her for advice under any situation. As she told us, when you needed a friend to tell you what was what, she was there to tell you what you needed to hear, not necessarily what you wanted to hear. Mama left an impact on her friends, and we know that there's not a day that goes by where she isn't remembered.
Nishat and I were wed on July 24th, 1999. What struck us most on our wedding day was the true excitement we could see in our family's eyes as we began our journey together. Maybe it was relief that Munsif was finally getting married. In reality, I think the Sheralis understood that they were welcoming a gem of a person into the family. It is impossible to encapsulate the 15 years that followed in a few short paragraphs, and while the time with her was short in comparison, we achieved a lifetime of blessings during our marriage. A first job, a first home, Hajj, the birth of our children, ziyarat, are some to name a few. There were other more difficult moments too. The loss of grandparents, the loss of a parent, health scares for loved ones, and her leukemia diagnosis in 2011 were painful for both of us. But that is life, and those highs and lows are meant to be shared, and for me during those times there was no better partner than Nish. Our Deen promises that our spouse is our garment, our protection. Nish was that and so much more to me. She was that missing part of my soul, my counsel, my balance, my support, and she gave these gifts freely in our time together. But beyond these, the greatest gift I cherish is what she left behind, 2 amazing sons. In them I see Nish every day. In Malik I see her wisdom, humbleness, and book smarts. In Zain I see her integrity, street smarts, cheekiness, and life of the home. During her battle with cancer, she would often tell me that I was her rock. In reality, I think I was just following her lead. We all drew strength, patience, and grace from Nish. For this, I am grateful for her and to the Creator.
Mama was the most fun, caring, and loving mother one could have ever hoped for. She was our number one fan in everything and taught us how to be good people, respecting our family, friends, and teammates. In essence, having the best akhlaq. Even though she is no longer with us, she continues to shape the way we live, and her memories and lessons stick with us daily. We decided to share a few memories to honor her legacy as a mother. Mama was the queen of celebrations, whether it be birthday parties, Eid, Halloween, achievements in school, and on the odd occasion when I did not finish second place and when Zayn actually scored a goal in hockey. Some of the cool birthday parties that we had were carnivals, video game trucks, bowling, zoo, and magicians, to name a few. Mama would go all out during these occasions for us so that we could have the best possible time we could ever imagine. Our interest became her interest, and she eventually became fond of all the Marvel movies we used to love, or to watch hockey, which we still play today. Initially, she did not understand how the sport was played, but when we started, she eventually became the best hockey mom, screaming from the stands and cheering us on.
There is so much more to say, but we'll end off with this. Although we'll miss the bedtime tuck-ins or our trips and vacations, we will continue to honor her legacy by being the best that we can be in a joyful, caring, and respectful manner, just the way she taught us. She always used to reply to us, +1, whenever we told her we loved her. The +1 was because she would always love us more. So we'll end off by saying, +1 forever, Mama.
Mama was truly the glue that held the family together. Everyone wanted to be around her because of her beaming personality. She held a special place in everyone's hearts, and truly cared for all those around her and treated them with the utmost of respect and with the highest degree of akhlaq. It is for that simple reason that she is dearly missed every day. There is no doubt that she left her mark on everyone she met, and there is at least one way we can all remember her legacy. We humbly ask that you consider becoming a marrow or stem cell donor. It is completely harmless and can help save someone else's life. Unfortunately, there was no match for Mama, but she was able to save others because of the donor drives she organized for blood cancer awareness. Please visit wmda.info to find a local registry near you. Please recite the Surah Fatiha for all our marhumin and enjoy these bonus clips.
Who are you going to be skating with?
Marlies.
The Marlies? Yeah, are you going to skate with them or in between their periods?
In between.
That's right. How are you going to skate?
Faster than the Marlies.
Faster than the Marlies? Are you going to try and get a goal?
And the Marlies?
Not with the Marlies, with the other Timbits that you're going to skate with. Yeah?
Okay, you got to stay up on your feet. You can't fall around. Okay? Can't
How
fall
are you
around.
going to skate? Skate hard. Yeah? Get that puck. And then what?
Shoot in the net.
Shoot it in the net. Sounds good, Zane. Are you excited?
Yeah, but I can't skate fast without the puck.
How come?
Because
You have to try. You going to try? Okay. And who's going to be cheering for you?
Mama
And?
Marley
And?
Daddy.
Yeah.
Cool.
What do you guys think?
Cool.
What
Do you guys-
you guys are forgetting something.
Do you guys like Eid?
Oh, yes. Yes, we do. Oh. You have this guy. I have this guy.
Oh!
Zane, where's my hug?
Hey, stop picking your nose.
Zane, where's my hug?
Cool.
You like your presents? Do you like your presents? Bring it to your store, I'll open it for you.
Hey, what about my hug?
Where's Daddy's hug?
Sorry. Thank you so much for sharing it. I've had a lot of messages from people who are telling me that they're all sat in tears. And it's understandable because some of these people didn't even know Nish. And so imagine the impact that she has on people without who she's never even met before. But this was Nish. This was who she was. And you know, her boys made this absolutely fantastic point about her legacy and seeing if, you know, all of us can try and become a stem cell, you know, donor and save lives, because this was what Nish was really campaigning for. So inshallah, I hope it's something we can do. If any of you have any questions about it, please do contact me and I will speak to the family to understand more about it. But thank you, Munsif, Malik and Zain for putting together that tribute. It was absolutely wonderful, absolutely heartwarming, and I'm so grateful to have known someone like Nish, and I'm so honored that her family were able to pay tribute to her in such an amazing way. Her legacy truly does live on, and when I think about her and I think about Baba, I feel like they are here around us no matter what we are doing, and I'm so grateful that they have touched my life in such a powerful and beautiful way. So thank you all so much for allowing us to honor Nisha. And inshallah, we pray for her and we pray for all our marhumeen always. And, you know, Mansif, Malik, Zain, all of you are fantastic. You know, you're all doing so well, mashallah. I know that Nish would have been so proud. I'm sure she would have had a few comments, but that's what makes Nish so wonderful. She's so genuine and she's so honest and a great role model. So for those of you who knew her, we miss her so much. And for those of you who didn't know her, I hope this tribute shows how amazing that she was. And please do remember her in your du'as, inshallah. We will now have ziyarat, which will be recited by Nishat's younger son, Zain. So Zain, please, if you could do us the honor of reciting ziyarat.
السلام عليك يا رسول الله. السلام عليك يا أمير المؤمنين. السلام عليك يا خديجة الكبرى. السلام عليك يا فاطمة الزهراء. السلام عليك يا حسن المجتبى. السلام عليك يا حسين الشهيد. السلام عليك يا إمام زين العابدين ومحمد الباكر وجعفر الصادق وموسى الكاظم وعلي الرضا ومحمد تكي وعلي النكي والحسن العسكري ورحمة الله وبركاته. السلام عليك يا صاحب الأسر والزمان. الأمان 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 من فتنة الزمان. السلام عليك يا شريك القرآن وكعبة الإيمان وإمامنا وإمام الإنس والجان. أجر الله تعالى فرجك وسهر الله تعالى مخرجك وظهورك ورحمة الله وبركاته. اللهم كل وليك الحجة ابن الحسن صلواتك عليه وعلى آبائه في هذه الساعة وفي كل ساعة وليا وحافظا وقائدا وناصرا ودليلا وعينا حتى تسكنه أرضك طوى وتمتعه فيها طويلا برحمتك يا أرحم الراحمين.
Asan, thank you very much, Zain. That concludes today's Majlis. Thank you all so much to the reciters for taking the time and effort to be involved today, and for all of you for watching and continuing to support the family during this incredibly testing time. The love and support shown by you all has helped us greatly, and it is something that we will never forget. And we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to shower his blessings on you and your families for the compassion that you have shown. Grief is a reflection of the connection that has been lost. Our society places enormous pressure on us to get over loss, to get through the grief. But how long do you grieve for the man who was your father for 35 years? The loss happens in a moment, but his aftermath lasts a lifetime. The grief is real because loss is real. Each loss has its own imprint, as distinctive and unique as a person who we lost. It doesn't matter how old we are. The reality is that we will grieve forever. We will not get over the loss of a loved one. We will learn to live with it. We will heal and rebuild ourselves around the loss that we have suffered. We will never be the same again, but being different is not a bad thing. It's a different path and journey our life will take, but one which inshallah we will come out of stronger. I leave you with a quote which I found and felt that it was so true, and I hope that it is able to provide you with some comfort. Grief is in two parts. The first is loss, and the second is the remaking of life. Inshallah, I hope and pray that you're able to join us again in November for our next Majlis. Let us end by remembering and praying for all those who are currently unwell all around the world, for those who are suffering, and for those who have sadly lost their lives. In particular, please remember my mother-in-law, Suraya Nur Muhammad's brother, Akhtar Hemani, who is currently unwell in Pakistan in hospital. Let us remember him with 5 times Amma Yujibu and all those who are suffering and unwell. A'udhu billahi minash shaitanir la'inir rajim. Bismillahir rahmanir rahim. Amma yujibu al-mustarra iza da'ahu wa yakshifu su. 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 Irhamni birahmatika ya arhamar rahimin. Thank you all again so much, and inshallah we'll see you again next month. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.